On today's show, we've got our good friend Graham Creech from TSN 1200 to talk about the Ottawa Senators, their season, identity, trade deadline needs, and do they need another goalie? Then we'll wrap up with some chat about Canada's Olympic debut, a 5-0 win over Czechia.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
You're Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators. I'm Ross Levitan. Brandon Pillar will be by for our interview today with Graham Creech, so stay tuned for all that. Today is Thursday, February 12th, and I think that Team Canada might be the gold medal favorites. What a game this morning. Team Canada, 5-0 victory over Czechia in a game where if you look at the shot totals, especially after two periods, was pretty close. Canada scoring with 6 seconds left in the first period to take a lead, and they never looked back. I'll get into it more after the interview, but we've got over half hour with Graham Creech. So why don't we get to that right now? We'll wrap up the Olympics on the other side. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day. All right, we now welcome a very good friend back to the show. You know him over at TSN 1200, the host of Senators pre- and post-game shows. You can also find him on The Drive, and he is Graham Creech. Creecher, what's up, buddy? Welcome back.
What's up, boys? Good to be here. Love chatting with you fellas.
It's like, especially, I feel like one of these days we're going to have to make a post-game show work where we get the TSN 1200 post-game show, you guys down in the bunker, live on location, and us clowns all over the world doing it after the game on the postcast. But we love what you do, obviously. Great friend of the show now, 4-time recurring guest. How are you spending these couple of weeks without Sens hockey? How are you getting through it?
Busy with girls hockey. Both my daughters play hockey, so busy with that. But I get weekends off for the first time since like September, October. So that's nice. I think I have 2 or 3 weekends off. But yeah, just honestly Monday to Friday now at work, which is nice to get a schedule too, instead of just all over the place and late nights. I think there's a late road trip when they return, so go back to normal there, which I don't mind doing, but it's nice to get a couple weekends off because we're busy on weekends with the kids and all that stuff. So just taking it easy, watching a ton of Olympics and yeah, kids sports and stuff.
So you mentioned kids sports. I heard that you are the reason that Eli Manning was at the Ottawa Senators game.
I wouldn't say I'm the reason, but I guess I'm the reason they were aware of it. That weekend, my daughter was in a hockey tournament, and they played the second game of the tournament, and Eli's daughter was playing, I think an hour before us. So I got to the rink, it was like 8 a.m., and there's like a little bit of buzz. People hadn't confirmed it, but they're like, hey, I think Eli Manning's in town or in the brink. And then after our game, we were leaving the building at the same time. So I was thinking of like saying hi to him, but it was like minus 35 and he was posing for pictures in the parking lot. So I'm like, I'm not bugging this dude. And I'm freezing myself. So I kind of gave him like the nod and the wave, and then made my way to Sens practice, which I took my daughter to. Or was it morning skate? No, I think it was practice. No, yeah, it would have been morning skate. And I just told some of the Sens staff, including Ian Mendez, that Eli was in town for his daughter's hockey tournament, and then they put the wheels in motion and they did everything. So they deserve all the credit for, and I'm sure obviously you guys read the story, so you know how it got into place from there. But yeah, I was at the rink. I'm like, Eli Manning's in town for his daughter's hockey tournament. So it was pretty cool. And then I ended up talking to him. So I avoided talking to him in the morning because it's freezing and I didn't want to bother him because he's just a hockey dad, but he's posing for pictures with a bunch of people. But then he came around for some interviews right where we were broadcasting from. So I chatted him up, and I'm like just for a little bit. I'm like, my wife is a big Giants fan, and our daughters are playing in the same tournament. So I was chatting about that and told him he had to hit up the canal. He said he was too soft because it was too cold, but that some of the girls on his daughter's team went. So it's cool to meet him.
Yeah, that was awesome that he did the full car wash for that game. He was put to work for that Sens game. So shout out Eli Manning. Creature, how important to you was it that the Sens got that win up against Philly? Because we were talking about it. We called it a must-win game. That's a team you got to beat. You got to feel good going into the break. And oh my God, did they almost let it fall out from under them, just like they've done so many times this season? Like, is that overtime victory worth more than just 2 points?
Yeah, that was like a must win, basically. I hate using that word sometimes because like it technically wasn't a must win. Their season wasn't over if they lost it, but like you can't, like they already can't afford to be giving away points, and they've done that numerous times this year, as you guys know, and then did it to Carolina. And I think if they went into those final 3 games and fans were like, all right, they'll go 2-1, they'll probably lose to Carolina because second half of the back-to-back, they're a good team, yada, yada. But like they played unbelievable. And then they, as Steve Stais would say, they pissed it away. So like they absolutely had to be Philly, and they did. I think probably a lot of you, I don't know if you guys were feeling when it was 1-1, it's like, man, they're gonna lose this now.
I thought they were gonna lose for sure in regulation. Yeah.
So they got it done. So good work for them, and hopefully they can keep this going, because you guys know, you're talking about doing the postcasts and post-game shows. Like they're a lot more fun when these teams in the playoffs. So hopefully they can keep rolling. But it's just so hard to do with the gap with the points and the team. So they gotta continue their role on the other side.
Well, the key there on the other side, I've been eyeing Detroit, and Pillsy's been calling me crazy because they have been so far ahead of Ottawa. But now all of a sudden, it's not only single digits, 9 points back of Detroit. Detroit's got 1 win in their last 5 games, but they got head-to-head, first game back at the CTC. So we're basically just living to fight another game at this point. But when you've got Detroit, Toronto, then the West Coast Canadian trip, where you're stopping in Edmonton, a team that's had your number over the last number of years. Like these 3 games, and then 4th one if you're going to include Calgary before the trade deadline on March 6th, like at least it's not all over. So it might not have been a must-win, Creature, but it was definitely a can't lose, and they were able to get it through. My spin zone, though, we got to see Tim Stützle in overtime. Like, what was your reaction watching that play start, and at what point did you know he was going to end it?
Guy's a freak, man. I think where I thought he would end it was when Brady settled the puck down for him, because that puck was spinning, like it was on its edge. Brady just teed it up for him, which gave him the ability to continue dancing and to walk Sanheim. So I was hopeful that he'd do it there, but that was like 47 seconds in overtime, and he started and he went down offensively, came back on that play, and then went back and to still have the juice that he had. Like he was flying, man. The guy's an unbelievable skater. I was telling the story after the game. Day 1 of camp, they were doing like down and backs or suicide drills, lightning drill, whatever you want to call it. You go like goal line to goal line, back to the goal line, back to the far goal line. And he won his heat every time by like a zone and a half. Like he was dominant. And looked so fresh. I'm like, this guy's like, obviously we know he's a great skater, but I was like, this guy's in shape and determined to have a good season. So to see the way he put the Jets on like 40 seconds into the shift was pretty special. And what a goal. And like, what's not really talked about is like, go back and watch that goal and see how his agility and avoiding the post after too. Like he should have ran into that post basically, and he avoided it. That was sick.
And he does a full back check. Like Timmy's not gliding to get back on that 201. He's hustling, and then he's got to circle around, hustle all the way back, get past Sanheim, and avoid the post. Yeah, it's just that's Timmy superstar right there. Ross, you got something else on that goal?
No, go ahead.
Creature, how often are you standing watching? And I'll add on to that. How often are you out of town scoreboard watching? Like, do you check in every day, every morning, look at how the games went last night, look where they are in the standings? Or is that an exhausting effort for you and you're like, maybe once a week, once in a while, we'll see where things are at?
No, like I think I'm watching every night. Definitely when they're playing, we're keeping an eye on it. But even when they're not, like I'm all right, who's like, it's a Monday night, who's playing tonight? It's like, oh, okay, Boston's playing, Detroit's playing. Like I'm 100% paying attention. So I'm not obsessing over it, but I'm aware of the situations and if teams win, what that means. So every day is the answer.
So 6 points back of Boston, 7 points back of Buffalo. You've got a 9-point gap right now between Montreal, Detroit, although the Sens do have a game on the Red Wings and obviously the head-to-head I just mentioned. But of those 4 teams, all Atlantic Division teams, which one do you think is the most realistic to fall back down enough to earth that Ottawa could be the team that catches them?
I would say probably Boston. And I think a lot of people probably pick Boston. And they've been picking them all year, but they just haven't come back to the pack like everyone expected them to. So I do think that they're a good team and it'll be tough. But I just think I think Detroit's out of reach. I think Buffalo's legit. You never know. Obviously, you could go into a spell where you're losing 5 in a row and then that changes things big time. But I do think Buffalo's legit. So I guess I would say that my target is Boston, but more so just keep picking up wins and then see what happens.
How do you think Steve Staios is going to approach the deadline? Like, do you think he's going to go for a big move, maybe make I don't want to say lateral move, but a less implicated move? Or do you think he's looking at this team and being like, now that the goaltending is coming around, we're going to get David Perron back. We like how our team's playing defensively, analytically. It's looking great. He just stands pat.
I think it certainly feels like he wants to do something. Like if you pay attention to any of the insiders, everyone's mentioning Staios and doing something big. And I think this helps how they went into the break, but I also think that what he's doing is a multi-year thing anyways. Like he's not chasing a rental. So let's say it's a right shot, top 4 defenseman. Even if they're 9 points out right now and he's getting an upgrade right now that will help them next year, I could see him doing that. So I still think he's going to be busy, but not certainly not for a rental unless they, how is it 3 or 4 before the deadline?
4.
4. So if they go 4 for 4 and some other teams, the gap becomes 2 points or something, then maybe he does do a different or an additional rental type move. But I think that for the most part, he's probably just focused on helping them now, but also in the future.
So when you say in the future, do you think that there's a chance, or if not a likelihood, that we see another hockey trade like we did last year where Josh Norris gets moved out for Dylan Cousins?
Yeah, I think that's a possibility, and I also think I think a Yakimchuk type would be a possibility as well. You got to give to get, right? And there's no way they can do that with first round picks, just given their situation. And obviously, there's not a lot of prospects, so there's a couple that they could throw in there, whether it's Hensler or Yakimchuk. And then if you look at the players on the roster, I think you'd have to probably think of a Ridley Gregg or a Dylan Cousins as possibilities. Not that I'm suggesting move them, but if you're talking about bringing back a piece and you're not using prospects, you're going to have to use one of those guys. And you're not moving a Pinto and Sanderson, Stützle, Tkachuk. So it's got to be somebody, right?
We'll get right back to our interview with Graham Creech, but first, today's episode is brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems. It's the time of year that has us looking at the way we do things in our business and thinking there has to be a better way. There is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades that you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O. It's the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating all in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. Your whole team could call and text from one shared business number, and everyone could see the full conversation thread, so you can reply faster and more personally. It works right from your phone or computer, and you can even keep your existing numbers. Quo's smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps so details never slip through the cracks. It's no surprise Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free. Plus, get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnhl. That's quo.com/lockedonnhl. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. I'm of the mind now, and just because you bring up Carter Yakimchuk, and this guy now, he's up to 7 goals, got 4 goals his last 4 games in the AHL. Defensively, it's still a work in progress, we'll say. I mean, he's still a young guy who, because of his early birthday and one of the oldest guys of the 2024 draft, was able to skip a final year of junior and go right to the American Hockey League. But call me crazy. I've always held strong. Hell no for Erik Karlsson. Nuh-uh for Eric Branstrom. I think you might have your top 6 winger in Carter Yakimchuk.
What?
Come on.
This is not where I thought you were going with this.
Me neither. I thought you were talking about not trading him.
No, but look at this. The way this guy plays, his hands are incredible. He models his game after Jordan Eberle. Like, this guy might be a forward.
I will say you're onto something in terms of, like, his hands are disgusting. He looks like a forward. I told him that, it was draft night. I was like, you look like a forward. Like he does. Like he's unbelievable in the offensive zone. Like
he just scored a wraparound the other night.
Yeah. But I haven't even heard that before. Like typically you'll get post-game show callers saying some crazy stuff.
I'm a
I have not even
heard
that
Creature. Ross in Winnipeg. Where are you?
Ross in the pen.
Guys, I think we need Yakimchuk to play on the top line. He looks like Arthur Kaliev out there. Like he literally it's a right shot Kaliev with a little more speed.
Okay.
I'm just saying. But maybe that's a question where if you're asking that of your top 10 pick who you draft as a right shot defenseman, maybe that is a guy you look to trade for a positional need. I always thought it was interesting, them going back-to-back right shot D and then acquiring a 24-year-old like Jordan Spence, who, if in a perfect world, I know he's RFA after this year, but is under team control and could be a piece moving forward. You got Zub, seems like he fits in really well, but going in last year of his deal, it just feels like you almost get those first-round right shot defensemen because they're valuable in the trade market as well.
Yeah, I don't know how this is going to play out with him in terms of slotting and if he stays with the organization. Like, hopefully by some point next season, he's in the NHL. Like, hopefully he figures out to play away from the puck, the defensive end, and you can put him on the third pair. But I still think, like, if you're looking at him, hoping for him to be a major influence on this roster in the top 4, like you're a couple years away from that. So if you acquire somebody this year in the offseason, and Zub, you know what? Zub can always slide down too, right? Like there's nothing wrong with him end up being a second or a third pair right shot defenseman if you have a couple of absolute studs ahead of him. That just makes better slotting and a deeper team. So I don't know what their plan is for them. Like I definitely use a trade chip, but I would say that they probably didn't draft him to trade him.
No.
Like
I think a lot of fans, Creature, they're looking around and saying, like, look at the guys who went behind him. Sam Dickinson, NHLer. Zeev Buium, NHLer. And you're like, how patient do we have to be with a top 10 pick?
Yeah, well, it's got to come together 200 feet, right? So yeah. I have no problem with him spending the whole year in Belleville. Like, fans want to see it, and I know our buddy Jack Richardson is always pining him for being
all over him.
Like, he's not ready yet. He's not ready yet.
Jack would drive to Belleville to bring him to Ottawa.
Do you think if he was up in Ottawa right now that Steve Staios would trust him in top 4?
No.
Like, there's no chance. So just let him figure out that part of the game, and he'll push his way out of the AHL when he does. Like, I'm not worried about that at all. It just don't rush that. And I don't get the sense they would.
He's not ready to play top 4 in the NHL. And then the other option is you play him on the third pair with Clevin. Then he's only getting 12, 13 minutes. And no offense to Clevin, but he's a young defenseman himself. I'm not sure you want to put 2 young guys like that and then have kind of the responsibility on Clevin to be like, hey, you got to be the vet here and make sure you're mopping up any mistakes that the riverboat gambler forward Carter Yakimchuk is making as your D partner.
You said the other choice is third pair. The other choice is playing wing with Timmy.
You're nuts, man.
Yeah,
you are nuts.
I'm just digging deeper into it now for the sake of it. No, the play for him is finish the year in the American Hockey League and go from there. But if you get offered something special, I would listen. Let's just put it that way.
Oh,
but his skill is special. Like his hands are.
If he hits his potential, but you can't.
You guys know that since the draft, I know Pilsy knows this because I've been hammering it home. Like if he pans out, he's Brent Burns. Guess what Brent Burns did for a couple of years, boys?
Did he get drafted as a forward though?
I don't know if he got drafted. I know he played it in Minnesota. I feel like he got drafted as a D and then moved to forward.
What's your other example, Ross? Paul Bissonnette?
No, my other example is Dustin Byfuglien.
Yeah, I mean a little different style there.
Oh man. Thank you. You made my day with this Yakimchuk as a forward thing.
Yeah, any NHL GM out there, you can trade anything for this guy because you can put him wherever you want. Just maybe not in net. Although he might have more block shots than some of the Sens goalies.
How willing are you guys to see him moved? Because like the other thing is like this window for this group is like for the studs, the Stützles and Sandersons and Kachucks, like it's now. So do you want another top 4D or you want to wait a couple of years till he's making an impact?
Yeah, it depends who. Like we just had Bruce on yesterday and like Mackenzie Weegar's name comes up. But to me, Weegar's not a guy you move Yakimchuk for. Like that Weegar's guy you negotiate to buy low, a guy with a no move clause who has a more limited number of teams, if you will, come to Ottawa where it's like, you're last in the league in plus minus. You're taking a ton of penalties. Your numbers are down and have been over the last 2 years. Like that's not the guy. I don't care about the term. That's not a guy. It would have to be like a legit.
Who would you trade for Weegar? Like who or what would you trade for Weegar?
It would be a package.
Yeah.
It would have to have. I don't even know if I put a first round pick in that package. Like he's not having a good year. Like,
I think you have to. Well, it has to start with Jensen to make the money work.
For sure. It has to start with Jensen. So what did Rasmus Andersson get? They got an NHL usable defenseman right now, although I'd say Whitecloud has much more value than being Jensen. Younger than Jensen and having more term and being at 2.75. So you're looking at less there. But also you'd probably say that Weegar's value is a bit less than Rasmus Andersson, right?
Definitely.
Like I know the contract wasn't extended, but at the same time, like it is a better player in Rasmus Andersson than Weegar. A player that I wouldn't like to see move, but again, like we can't be hoarding prospects here forever. But I think a guy like Blake Montgomery could be of interest to the Calgary Flames as a secondary piece in that trade. So how else you going to build it? I love Stephen Halliday. I wouldn't want to move him, but if you're looking at Halliday, Montgomery in a second, like, is that close?
I think you have to have a first in there.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Then maybe it's not the time for Mackenzie Weegar to come home.
And maybe it's not, or you know what? Maybe it's somebody else because Steve Staios has always acquired guys like how many, like last year at the deadline or leading up to it, we're talking about other names, right? And then it was like, oh, Dylan Cousins, Fabian Zetterlund, like Linus Omark during warm-up of the Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. Like it hasn't ever been the name that everyone's speculating leading up to it. So I wouldn't rule out a different player being someone that they potentially target for top 4 right D.
We'll get right back to Creature, but today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The Winter Olympics are officially here, and if you're anything like us, you're locking in for the events you only get to see on the biggest stage every 4 years. That's why we're following the Winter Games on FanDuel. It just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events to finding your angle on the sports you care about most, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action, the drama, the speed skating, the hockey, and even niche events become must-watch when you're fully locked into the competition. So use FanDuel to keep your entire Olympic experience engaging from start to finish. You had to be all over Canada today. Come on, Canada, Switzerland, tomorrow, 3 o'clock Eastern, and we're going to be dialed in on FanDuel. The Winter Games are on, and there's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. FanDuel, play your game. Creature, I got the most ridiculous stat for Mackenzie Weegar. Like most ridiculous splits I've ever seen this season for Mackenzie Weegar. He plays in the Pacific Division, so let's just stay there. In 16 games in the Pacific Division, he has 11 points and he's even. Against the Central Division, in 17 games, he has 1 assist and he's minus 22 against the Central Division. And he's even against the Pacific. So just wait till you're done all your games against the Central, then bring Mackenzie Weegar in, and he'll probably be pretty good.
It is a pretty loaded division, and the Pacific is not so much.
Ridiculous. Yeah. And then he does okay against the East. Like, he's a good player, but he's just not one that I put all the chips in for.
Yeah, no, I hear you. They don't have a lot of prospects, as everyone has covered.
Yeah.
And they don't have their first round pick this year. So you're looking at a really good prospect or somebody off the roster.
I hope it's a name that we haven't heard, because like the trade market right now, like looking at all the updated boards over with you guys, tsn.ca and everything, like there's nobody on them that I would bang the table that I'd move my top prospect for.
Yeah,
I
haven't looked at the list. I'm blanking on it. Like, is Jason Robertson on that list?
No, he's not. The top names have all been traded already. This is from January 15th this put out. Kiefer Sherwood's been moved already. You've got Rasmus Anderson. He's been moved already. Artemi Panarin. Those are your top 3. So if you're looking at right shot defensemen on this list, which I think we've already established is the Sens' biggest need, you're looking at Dougie Hamilton, Luke Shen, Justin Falk, Connor Murphy, and then you're scrolling way down beyond that to Philip Myers. Like I would really like Connor Murphy. We've been advocating for that, but that's not a guy you even consider moving Yak for, obviously. So like, I think they're in a tough spot with everybody else. Yeah, everyone else thinking that they have a chance this year, and especially the West being so mid that it's like wide open. It's going to be a seller's market, and that's a dangerous spot for a team that feels like they need to be aggressive and have put themselves in a situation where they're 6 points out. Like, he's going to have to be smart.
Would you guys be disappointed if he doesn't add? Like if they're within like 5 points or less, would you be disappointed?
No, I wouldn't be, because I've said it for a while. Obviously, I'd like an upgrade in the top 4D, especially a right shot defenseman. But I believe in this team and what they're doing. Like, there's so many cases where you look at it's just the goaltending, and I know we're beating it to death here. But if Ullmark is ready to return to form, he doesn't even have to return to form. He just has to be better than an 885 save percentage every night, like we saw from that stat. Reimer, he just has to back up on the back-to-back games, which is 5 of them left in the season. That's okay. I think we can count on him for 5 games left in the season. And then the way
can you trust Linus Ullmark for the rest of those?
That's what I'm saying. Maybe you need a goalie.
You don't have a choice. Yeah, what are you going to do? You're not going to go get another goalie. You have to believe that you can get 885 save percentage from a former Vezina winning goalie that makes $8.25 million a year. That's your option. You can't go out, like, they're not going to go out and get Jesper Wallstedt. I don't think that makes sense. So you have to bank that you can get less than average goaltending from your number one guy, because the team's playing the right way. They're holding teams like the Carolina Hurricanes to under 20 shots. Like, they're buying in defensively. They're able to score goals. The power play, it's streaky, but it can get hot. The penalty kill is looking a lot better since Mike Yeo took over. So I just don't think this team and this organization is in a position to be able to push assets in that they don't really have to go get big names to go over the top, because all these guys we talked about, other teams are in on too, and other teams have a lot more assets, cap space, prospects, picks available to trade. So if there's a bidding war, the Sens are cooked.
Yeah, but I do think so. I'm okay if they don't acquire something major this year, but I would not be okay with them going into next season without improving the top 4 right deal.
Fair. I agree with that.
So that's why I'd be okay with them acquiring, like, even if they're 7-8 points back, if it's something that it's like, all right, this guy's going to be rock solid for 3+ years under contract, then that's okay. But and I'm like that. I'm not worried at all that they're in the rental game. Like, I just don't see them doing that.
They can't be doing that.
Yeah.
Would you be surprised if they bring in another goalie, Creech?
No, I don't think I would be surprised.
No. And maybe like move Sogard for that other goalie, because right now they have 4 goalies on one-way contracts right now with Sogard, Marilyn, and Reimer and Ullmark.
Yeah, I just I don't really feel it right now, unless it is like for a futures, like a Wallstedt or something. But I don't feel that it happen right now. But I think that you cannot feel comfortable based on Linus's availability. Like, he's never played more than 49 games, and he hasn't been good this year. So I think it's probably not something that happens this year. But I think going into next year, you evaluate the entire position within your organization.
Is there, maybe this is a Pierre Dorion era question, but you know that the Brady Tkachuk question is going to be, yeah, exactly. Yakim Chuck it forward. What do I have up my sleeve next? This is, hey, we're in like no sense hockey mode. This is where the wheel spins way too fast in my brain and I need to slow it down. Is there a world where you think that a move for Robert Thomas helps you long term? Because you said this isn't a 1-year thing. His name's out there on the trade bait boards. It would be like a Dylan Cousins-esque acquisition. You'd have to give up a salary guy in that trade as well. But 5 years left for him. Best friends, Brady Tkachuk, lived at the Tkachuk household. I'm just saying, we could get a repeat of he's Brady Tkachuk's best friend when they traded for Josh Norris.
Oh, man.
He's a hell of a player, though. Like, it wouldn't just be for that, obviously. He's a hell of a player. He's having a bit of a down year. Everybody is in St. Louis. But that's a sneaky name where if he's going to make let's say out of nowhere, like, let's throw out a name just because he needs a raise after next year. Batherson. Let's say all of a sudden he's available. Could there be a trade that works out between Batherson to St. Louis for Robert Thomas?
Yeah, maybe. I think the key, just to your other point, in keeping Brady, I think the key to that is Brady being convinced that they can win a Stanley Cup here.
Yeah. Robert Thomas has a Stanley Cup in his back pocket.
Yeah. So if he feels that addition is something that helps, then yes. But if he feels, or if you're talking about acquiring a best buddy, I don't think that's what's convincing him.
No doubt. But I mean, he's also a hell of a player. And I think something that the Sens would really like about that deal is he's been making more money in the last 2 seasons of this deal than goes forward.
Wouldn't you guys love to see an elite goal scorer with Stützle?
Yes.
Like, that dude would put up 100 points every year.
Every year.
It's crazy just watching. Like, the team has been playing unbelievable like the last, 6+ games. How many chances did guys not finish that he put on a tee for them? Like, Cousins had 2. Yeah. Actually, one of them was off of Stützle, but he had 2 opportunities in the Carolina game. Batherson had a couple of like unbelievable looks, unbelievable plays by Stützle. Like, he like, if he had a Jason Robertson type on his wing, game over.
How do you make that work?
Yeah, is that the dream for you, Jason Robertson?
No, I just keep throwing his name out because his name is being thrown out, and I'm just referring to his skill set, like a guy that scores 40 goals every year.
Yeah, and those don't grow on trees. Like there's just like you want to get wild, and I don't think you can make the money work even. But you talk about elite goal scorer. I know he's older, but Steven Stamkos on his way.
Yeah, I don't like that ticket.
No, I don't like the ticket.
I know what you're saying, but I don't like
2 more years.
Yeah,
but there's a guy who literally has made $100 million by finishing.
Yeah. I think we saw it recently.
Yeah, we did. Dude, he's got 20 goals in his last 25 games.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, I did the numbers. I didn't remember what the exact number was, but I did them that game, and they were elite leading up to that game, and he got a hat trick. It's like real tough start for him, but he's been on fire lately.
Yeah. Dude, so elite goal scorer, is that your number one? Just to wrap up.
No. Top 4 right D. Top 4 right D.
Top 4 right D, then an elite scorer to play with Timmy, then a goalie?
Probably goalie first.
Yeah, I want them to figure out the goaltending situation before next year. Maybe it's Linus and another kind of like 1B, like a guy that has NHL experience that can play games for sure. And I'm not giving up on Maryland. I just, if you want to win a cup, you have a starting goalie that won a Vezina that's never played 50 games and hasn't been good this year, and then unproven behind him. So they need, like, that whole position needs to be reevaluated in the offseason, and they need to figure that out. So it would be right shot D. Actually, they'd be neck and neck, right shot D and goaltending.
Yeah. Merilainen does need waivers next season, though. Worth noting.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens at that position.
Yeah, either 80 games played or 5 seasons, and he's in his 4th season right now. So, I mean, he's had some great games in Belleville. He's had some not so great games in Belleville, which is nothing against him. Like, I think he should easily play the rest of the season there. But what happens if he has a training camp next season like he did this year? And that's kind of where the frustration comes from me with Merilainen is like, this didn't just come out of nowhere once the regular season started. He was not good in training camp.
Or preseason.
He wasn't.
That's what I mean.
I didn't like their training camp though, with like the one game at home, the Quebec City stuff, the roster stuff,
the St. Louis game.
It was just weird how it was set up, and the travel.
Should have come to Winnipeg.
Merilainen, the situation. Like, I'm not blaming that on why Merilainen hasn't been good, but it just felt like he was never given a great opportunity to kind of get off to on the right foot. But it's obviously. It's his own play. He's responsible for that himself, and he hasn't been good enough this year. But I still believe in him. He saved the season last year for them, and hopefully he can continue to find his game in Belleville, and see what the future holds for him.
Yeah, I mean, the Sens cannot give up on another young goalie, Philip Gustafson, Joey Decord, just because it hasn't worked out, or they've pushed him too far too soon, and they tried to.
I'll go
use them as a trade chip.
I'll even take you to the generation before Pillsy. Like Ben Bishop and Robin Leonard had a couple of Bishop had the best save percentage for the next decade after they traded him.
Oh, he was elite. Yeah.
And then Robin Leonard had a couple of great seasons with Buffalo, but obviously there was some stuff that behind the scenes where you're probably like, yeah, he's probably the guy that moves there. And Craig Anderson at least kind of covered up a little bit of that with his solid play at times. So it's a slippery slope though. And I'm with Pillsy. Like, you're not trading Levi Merilainen. You cannot do it. He's just shown that glimpse. But final question from me, Creature. We always appreciate you. Everybody listens to the Drive every day. TSN 1200 post game show down in the bunker.
The bunker.
Who are the ideal teammates for Tim Stützle with no trades being made? Like, I kind of like the way that things have been set up here, but like you said, like, he does have 2 playmakers on his wings with Giroux and Batherson. Like, do you keep it as is when you get back from this break, or do you try to move it around to get Timmy that best goal scoring option possible?
Yeah, like Drake thinks pass first for sure, but he's got a great shot and he can convert plays. I think it's just been a tough month plus for him where he hasn't been himself. I think I'd lean towards leaving it as is, just because we've seen success from the Cousins line, as well as the Pinto line and the fourth line as well. So I'd say I probably leave it as is. But maybe you give Brady another look there and you move Batherson with Cousins and Greg or something. Because obviously they have a chemistry and a connection as well. But the amazing thing about Stützle, he's like, if his line mates aren't having a great game, and we've seen Zetterlund up there and a number of guys up there, he obviously has the ability to carry his line and push the pace himself. So I think I just leave it for now. Like, they're playing too well going into the break to tinker with that. And of course, you never know what happens at the Olympics in terms of guys being banged up or whatnot. But I think if everyone comes back healthy, I'd go with the same formula. Like, they've been unbelievable. Even like the game they lost against Carolina, they were the much better team. So I wouldn't tweak that yet.
Final question for me, apart from the goaltending, obviously, because I think that's the most important aspect. Down this stretch, rest of the season, Creature, what player needs to be the X factor guy for this team to have success and to have a chance?
You said it's not including goaltending?
No, because I mean, I think that's the obvious answer. So aside from goaltending.
Yeah, that's fair. I'll go combo. I'll do Shabbat or Dylan Cousins, because I think Stützle, you know what you're getting from him. You know what you're getting from a Giroux. You know what you're getting from Pinto. If Dylan Cousins can elevate, and they've obviously, that line has had a lot of 5-on-5 success, a lot of talk about him as being his work on the power play, which is key. Like, you want a guy that can score on the power play. But if he can, more often than not, contribute in a big way, that then you're getting 3 centers for sure that you know what you're getting from every single night, and that are pushing pace and dominating the game. And then the Shabbat one would just be because if he can play real good hockey in that second pair and help carry it, that'll be huge. We know you're getting from Sanderson and Zub. I really like Clevin and Spence, but how they've looked together, and Clevin, I'd say the last month or so has just been real good after an up and down season, in my opinion. So I guess those would be my answers.
Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out, Creech. Like we said, like this 4 games ahead of the trade deadline are going to be enormous, especially the 2 divisional ones right off the bat, and they find themselves 6 points out. It's going to be fascinating to see. Obviously, a little bit of a hill to climb, but we've seen that this team, all the numbers point to them being way better than their spot in the standings. So looking forward to seeing you break it down on TSN 1200. We already know that you're going to be back on the show. Really appreciate you. And I promise I will get you a goddamn cup here one of these days.
This is a Michigan mug. I want it to be a Locked On mug, boys, here.
Yeah, we're working on it just for you. All right, Creature. Appreciate you, man. We'll talk soon.
See you, boys. Thank you for having me.
Stick tabs to Creech for joining us. You guys already follow him over at TSN 1200. You can find him on Twitter as well. Creech __. And I know Creature was dialed in this morning. We just finished watching Canada dismantle Czechia, a score of 5-0, the victory. And I'll tell you a couple things I loved most about this game. Let's start as a hashtag goalie friendly show. So much talk about Jordan Binnington, and I'd say rightfully so. This guy stinks in the NHL right now. He's lost 7 straight games, all in regulation. He's got an .828 save percentage since January 1st, but this guy has a swagger about him that just brings out the best when the lights get bright. And the Olympic Games is no different than what he did at the Four Nations face-off, where he was the reason why Canada was able to win that final in overtime. He was great today. And you could say, oh, it was 5-0. Well, it was 0-0 until 6 seconds left in the first period, and I thought he made some good saves. He was tracking the puck, moving laterally, even had a sick backhand breakout pass that resulted in what could have, should have, maybe not would have, because it was a legit penalty call on that play, but he started a rush that would have started the opening scoring. So I felt like Jordan Binnington, 26 save shutout here to start the Olympics. That's got to bode well for him. We know he's not going to start tomorrow. You're not going back-to-back with the same goalie. Logan Thompson was the backup, so I think all signs point towards him playing against Switzerland tomorrow. But, man, great to see Jordan Binnington play as well as he did. Canada. Now let's get to the big reason why Canada won, because the big dogs showed up. You look up and down the scoring summary, and you find an elite of the elite of NHL talent, from Connor McDavid, who had an unbelievable pass on the goal that McKinnon scored in the power play opportunity there in the third period. He finishes with 3 assists. Crosby with 2 assists. McKinnon, that goal I mentioned. Celebrini opened the scoring on a great tip off of a Cale Makar point shot. So that's just talent that no other team in the tournament can match, right? And then you see they do at the end or in the middle of the broadcast a compilation of all the hits. Big hits. And yeah, Tom Wilson was in it a couple times, but the first 2 hits they showed was Nathan McKinnon with a reverse hit and Connor McDavid on the forecheck. When your best players are that committed to the finer details that they're not known for in the NHL, sure, McKinnon definitely a more strong player, let's say, than McDavid in terms of the physicality, but those guys, they know what this means, and they are bringing their absolute best. And the team, they saved their best for the third period. The shots were 13-4 in the final frame. Canada was up 3-0 going into that period, and they just worked the Czech team that frankly just didn't have the depth to compete with Canada. They've got a great top line. Tomáš Hertl with Marty Necas and David Pastrnak, that'd be a great first line in the NHL. But this Olympic experience, and you'll see it as it goes on, the depth of Team Canada is the reason why they're the gold medal favorite. Just look at the ice time in this game. It was very even for the most part. You didn't have more than one player play more than 20 minutes in this game, and I don't think it would have been a guy that anyone guessed would have played 20 minutes. It was Thomas Harley, and a big reason why is that Josh Morrissey left this game with an injury and did not return. We're all going to be waiting for the update there, because for my money, Josh Morrissey is the second, if not third best defenseman on this team. You could throw Devon Toews ahead of him. I'm okay with that. But obviously, offensively, after Cale Makar, it's Josh Morrissey. That guy, he might be underrated because he plays for the Jets, but he was a big reason why the Jets were able to win that President's Trophy last season. So we're really hoping that everything's okay with Josh Morrissey. And we'll find out sooner rather than later, because Canada's back in action, as I mentioned, tomorrow against Switzerland. It's the best. It's the Olympics. It's once every 4 years, or if you're an NHL Olympic fan, the first time in 12 years. And Canada played the same way that they did in Sochi, with all but 2 players different. Shout out Drew Doughty and Sidney Crosby. But if you remember in that tournament, it was all about the discipline and the ability to not allow anything. They didn't allow more than a goal in any game that tournament. They were a wagon. And now they're off to a great start again. So follow along on Twitter for the latest on that at Sens Central. Got a great interview coming tomorrow with Stephen Halliday. We'll talk more about Carter Yakimchuk, what I mentioned to Graham earlier. We get into that with Carter, or with Stephen. So we're really excited to have Stephen Halliday on. Half hour with him coming up tomorrow on Locked On Senators. And we will continue to follow the Olympic Games. Pilsy will be back live. He's going to be for the interview with Stephen, but next week he'll be live. We'll get our thoughts on the Sens prospect pool going into the trade deadline and a whole lot more. If you missed it yesterday, it was a bit of a late drop, but Bruce Garriock was on the show. Always good to catch up with him before trade deadlines. And whenever there's transactions, Bruce has his ear to the streets and is going to get us the latest. So go check that out if you have missed it. Thanks so much for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with us today on Locked On Senators. We truly appreciate it. You can join the Everydayers Club for more ad-free content as well. You can go to the link in the description below. For Graham Creech and Brandon Pillar, I'm Ross Levitan, and this has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.